The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, may we bow our heads in a moment of silence. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Monday, February 9th, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Sunday, February 8th, was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Libous.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator Seward on page 8, I offer the following amendments to calendar number 18, Senate Print 1172, and as said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
So ordered. Senator Libous.
Mr. President, at this time I'd like to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of Resolution 443 by Senator Stewart Cousins and 460 by Senator Kennedy.
All in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 443 and 460 signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Libous.
Mr. President, I believe Senator Golden has resolution number 352. Could we read its title only and call on Senator Golden?
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution number 352 by Senator Golden, commemorating the Asian American community's celebration of the Lunar New Year 4713, the year of the Ram, February 19, 2015.
Senator Golden on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next Thursday, February 19th, Asian Americans across our state will gather to celebrate the year 4713 in the Lunar New Year calendar. For those who are not from New York City, when immigrants moved to the New York City neighborhoods, they were built all up and around and shared a heritage that in many cases persists to this day. There is no denying the impact that the Asian Americans have had on New York City. One of the most popular tourist destinations in all of New York City is Manhattan's Chinatown. And the Asian population has grown not just in New York City, but throughout our state and throughout our nation. 1/6 of all students in New York City public schools are Asian Americans. The tradition tells us that the Jade Emperor once invited all the animals of the world to visit with him. Those animals that heeded the invitation were honored by having years named after them. And February 19th marks the beginning of the Year of the Ram. Individuals born during the Year of the Ram are said to be embodied certain characteristics that can be connected to their birth year. They are known for their shyness, their generosity, their kindness to nature, and their empathy for others, and sorts of qualities that should be celebrated all year long. The ram is the 8th animal in the Chinese zodiac, which places them and those born in that year of the ram in a favorable position in China, because in China, the number 8 represents peace and prosperity. This year, the Chinese community has much to celebrate, as my legislation that has passed last year allowing schools to close, working here with Senator Squadron and others here in this great legislative body to close in observance of the Lunar New Year. And if the school's governing authority sees fit, they can and will close. And that was signed into law by Governor Cuomo in December. And I cannot wait to celebrate this with my Asian Americans I represent in my district, because Lunar New Year, we do a great celebration on March 1st, and we have thousands of people come out and celebrate with us. The Lunar New Year is one of the greatest cultural holidays, and it has become a great holiday in New York State because of the impact in the community that has had on New York State. And it's prosperous, and it has grown in many, many numbers over the years. And I'm proud to represent such a large Asian American population that I'd like to wish all who celebrate a peaceful and prosperous year of the Ram. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Golden. Senator Squadron on the resolution.
President, and I too rise to acknowledge the upcoming Lunar New Year festivities and celebration and the upcoming Year of the Ram. I thank Senator Golden for his detailed description, what we sometimes call in Chinese culture Talmudic description of the Year of the Ram and its significance. It's an important year as each of the years of the lunar calendar is, but even more, it's a really important festival and acknowledgement for the entire state. Our growing Asian American community, not just in my district in Chinatown, which is really the heart and the history of the cultural life of the Chinese experience in America, certainly on the East Coast, but across New York City, from Brooklyn to Queens, and across our entire state and nation. The significance and importance of our Asian American community is so important, and Lunar New Year is a time of the year when we can acknowledge that, when we can enjoy as an entire state community the vibrance, the importance, the cultural celebration that it brings. It's particularly important, actually, just for the small businesses and the residents who still live in the various Chinese American communities across the city. If you are looking for an experience that will make you fall in love with New York City and New York State again, join one of the Lunar New Year parades, whether in Sunset Park or in Chinatown or in Flushing. Come down and enjoy the restaurants, the absolutely extraordinary cuisine, the stores, and help support the economy at the same time that we are respecting and acknowledging such an important cultural heritage. And as Senator Golden referenced, last year, working with Senator Golden, Senator Stavisky, and others, we were able to push forward the idea that parents should not have to be forced between the most important cultural celebration of their year and their family's year and missing a day of school by having a Lunar New Year school holiday. This year, luckily, the school calendar for the Year of the Ram cooperated. We will have a school holiday, and I am confident that working together we will have that school holiday for many years to come. So, entering this month of festivity, parades, banquets, more better food than you could ever imagine eating, I invite all of my colleagues from anywhere in the state to join us in Chinatown for the parade, for any of these banquets. I promise you, you will really again remember why we are so proud to be New Yorkers, why it is that the world comes to New York and flourishes and makes New York that much stronger. Happy Year of the Ram to the entire New York State community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Squadron. This resolution was adopted on February 3rd. Senator Libous.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I believe that Leader Stewart Cousins has a resolution at the desk that she would like to speak on, and if we could have number 443 called up at this time and call on Leader Stewart Cousins, please.
Secretary will read Resolution 443.
Legislative Resolution Number 443 by Senator Stewart Cousins, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim February 2015 as Black History Month in the state of New York. Whereas Black History Month, previously known as Negro History Week, was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson and was first celebrated on February 1, 1926. Since 1976, it has become a nationally recognized month-long celebration held each year during the month of February to acknowledge and pay tribute to African Americans neglected by both society and the history books. And whereas the month of February observes a rich and diverse heritage as our great state and nation. And whereas Black History Month seeks to emphasize Black history in American history. And whereas Black History Month is a time to reflect on the struggles and victories of African Americans throughout our country's history and to recognize their numerous valuable contributions to the protection of our democratic society in war and in peace. And whereas some African American pioneers, with many accomplishments, all which took place during the month of February, went unnoticed, as well as numerous symbolic events in February that deserve to be memorialized include John Swett Rock, a noted Boston lawyer who became the first African American admitted to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court on February 1, 1865, and the first African American to be received on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. Jonathan Jasper Wright, the first African American to hold a major judicial position, who was elected to the South Carolina Supreme Court on February 1, 1870. President Abraham Lincoln submits the proposed 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolishing slavery to the states for ratification on February 1, 1865. Civil rights protester Jimmy Lee Jackson dies from wounds inflicted during a protest on February 26, 1965, leading to the historic Selma, Alabama civil rights demonstrations, including Bloody Sunday, in which 600 demonstrators, including Martin Luther King Jr., were attacked by police. Autherine J. Lucy became the first African-American student to attend the University of Alabama on February 3, 1956. She was expelled 3 days later for her own safety in response to threats from a mob. In 1992, Autherine Lucy Foster graduated the university with a master's degree in education the same day her daughter, Grazia Foster, graduated with a bachelor's degree in corporate finance. The Negro Baseball League was founded on February 3, 1920. Jack Johnson, the first African-American world heavyweight boxing champion, won his first title on February 3, 1903. And Reginald F. Lewis, born on December 7, 1942 in Baltimore, Maryland, received his law degree from Harvard Law School in 1968 and was a partner in Murphy, Thorpe, and Lewis, the first black law firm on Wall Street. And in 1989, he became president and CEO of TLC Beatrice International Food Company, the largest black-owned business in the United States. And whereas, in recognition of the vast contributions of African Americans, a joyful month-long celebration is held across New York State and across the United States, with many commemorative events to honor and display the cultural heritage of African Americans. And whereas this legislative body commends the African American community for preserving for future generations its centuries-old traditions that benefit us all and add to the color and beauty of the tapestry which is our American society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pause its deliberations to memorialize Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim February 2015 as Black History Month in the state of New York, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Honorable Andrew M. Cuomo, Governor of the state of New York, and to the events commemorating Black History Month throughout New York State.
Senator Stuart Cousins on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise again to speak about Black History Month. It's something that we do annually, and it's an opportunity that I like to take to, again, tell people of the rich history and the contributions of African Americans, not only to our state, but to our country and to the world. Last month, we celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and we all know and remember what Dr. King has meant to, again, our community as well as humanity. This month, there are so many different people to talk about, and many of them were named in the resolution, but I wanted to spend a moment to remember two unsung heroes in my own community. I unfortunately had to attend two funerals of Black pioneers in the Westchester area who made a difference. One was Rita Gross Nelson. Rita Gross Nelson was the first African-American woman police officer in the city of Yonkers, in a city that has gone through many ups and downs and trials and tribulations and desegregation cases. Rita Gross Nelson stood tall and proud. She understood what community policing meant. There was never anyone in Rita's path that she wouldn't want to help, serve, and protect. Rita was also the first Black female to become a detective in the city of Yonkers. And she led the way and opened doors for many others to come behind her, and to have an exemplary example of professionalism, policing, compassion, and again, trailblazing attitudes on, during her years of service. The other great pioneer that we lost at 95 was the great Dorothy Orr. Dorothy Orr was an associate professor at Fordham University. She was a commissioner in the New York State's Division of Human Rights. But Dorothy, too, was a pathfinder and a trailblazer. She was the very first vice president of a national insurance company who happened to be African American and female. She opened corporations' doors to the understanding that in order to really broaden their influence, broaden their profit margin, and broaden their credibility, they needed to have all voices at the table. And Dorothy Orr opened doors and let those other voices in. So in this resolution, I wanted to make sure that we understood that there are heroes that change our lives, obviously and nationally noted, and then right in our communities, and yes, right here in our legislature. I had an opportunity to have lunch with a executive director of a very well-known agency in New York City. His name was Mr. David Jones. He talked about his father, who was the second black assemblyman in New York State's legislature, the Judge Thomas Jones. Thomas Jones served in the Assembly in 1963 and 1964 before he became a judge. And I asked David why he knew so much about the legislative work that we did. And he said that it was because his father recruited him to put the bills on the desks in the Assembly, because when his dad was an assemblyman in 1963, the pages would not put the bills on his desk as a black man. Black history. And today, we are here celebrating the first African American speaker, Carl Heastie. So the reality is there have been many roads traveled, many doors open. We are excited about the opportunity that the speakership of Carl Heastie brings. We are excited that between 1963 and 2015, not only do we all get the proper information on our desks, but we are rising to the highest levels of leadership. It is Black history, it is American history, and it is certainly history that when we keep our eye on the prize, not only do Black people rise, but humanity rises. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Stewart Cousins. Senator Larkin on the resolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm very, excuse me. You know, this is a very issue that I think we ought to sit down. I wish there was more people in the chamber. But think about it. My history with African American soldiers goes back to OCS, which is called Officers Candidate School. Eric Hill from Kansas, a state policeman, sat across, his bed was across from mine. When we went to Benning in '49, they said, you two can have mess here, and you can go down to the enlisted men mess. Well, Mike Krzyzewski and I tore up our Officers Club card and walked out and went to the enlisted men's mess. Hill was one of the first killed in our class in Korea. And when you think about it, the blood that spatters, not only then, but years before and now, we stop arguing about little petty things and start to think about what the nation does when we honor. We're talking about Black History Month. How many of our kids today? I asked a whole bunch of them in the last 2 weeks, what do you know about March of 1965? Well, I don't know. I wasn't born. Would you go home and you ask your parents? They don't know. March of 1965, the march from Selma to Montgomery. I don't know where Bill Perkins, one of his constituents, and I were part of the march, not marchers. He was a marshal and I was an Army project officer. And when you saw the people on the sideline ready to slap somebody or do something, all it did was encourage people to march. Now, people will tell you there were 600, there were 900, there were 2,500 the very first day. Black, white, pink, green, all marching for one thing. to make it so that these individuals, American citizens, were treated like everybody else. George Wallace looked out the window the day we arrived to give him the orders to activate the Guard. And he said, "I won't activate the Guard for those you-know-what," he said. But then that night at 11 o'clock, I was ordered to issue him another one that says, from the President of the United States, we're activating all of the Guard in Alabama. And you notice the Guard coming in from the rest of the nation, the 101st, 2nd Armored, 11th Air Assault. They weren't just all white. They were black and white. What happened? The 26th of July, 1948, the President Truman said, desegregate. The problem is, a lot of people were slow in the draw. But at Fort Benning, after we didn't get dinner that night, the next day I got called and somebody said, "Boy, are you going to get your you-know-what kicked today?" And I went in, and there was a major general that I served with when he was a colonel and I was a lieutenant. And he said, quote, "At 5 o'clock tonight, every sign that indicates non-diversity will be taken down, and anybody who doesn't comply will answer to me." Now, you know, in '49, I went to Japan, and there was an exchange of commanders. I was the youngest lieutenant, and somebody said to me, "Who did you make mad? You got this black company." I said, "You're wrong. I got the 212th. He said, "Lark, it's the worst company." I said, "Mark my word." And we worked together, and we treated people like. We made sure that education was an opportunity, not just somebody. The average education in my company at that time, with the exception of a few, was 6th grade. Today, you couldn't get in the Army at 6th grade education. But everybody worked together as a team. In April 1950, the 212th, the all-black company, and I used to kid them, "It's not all black. There's 5 of us white guys sticking around here someplace." And it was a big joke. They were number one. And when General Eichelberger said, "Bring up your officers," I said, "No. You see all those ladies over there with the white hats? They're the mother of this outfit." And they came up and got the award. You know, every day we run against people, or run into them, and we have differences. I had it in my own family. My daughter said, "I'm going to Africa. My husband and I are missionaries." They just returned from 27 years. We have 5 grandchildren out of there. They speak French, Portuguese, a little German, and proudly English. They're proud. I'm proud of them. But you know, think about what we do. Newburgh Police Department came to me over the weekend and said, "We don't have any black officers." I said, "Why don't we?" "Because nobody passed the test." So that's ours as elected officials. What are we doing to help eliminate this problem? We will start tomorrow talking to the state and a few others, and we're going to put a program on to teach them how to take the test, how to be an officer. I'm going to tell you something. Black history, we really should change it to say American history, because it's our history. It's not anybody else's. It's all of ours. How you handle these issues, I don't know. I'm 87. How many more I'll be here to see. But I want to tell you, my pride in those I served with and those that I know are still serving are part of history we should never forget. And I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Larkin. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Libous.
Mr. President, could we open that up for co-sponsorship?
Resolution is open for
And as
co-sponsorship.
the policy goes, if someone chooses not to be on the resolution, just let the desk know. Otherwise, everybody will be on the resolution.
So ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. Moving along, we have one more resolution before us, resolution number 460 by Senator Kennedy. He would like the title read, and then he would like to make some brief comments.
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 460 by Senator Kennedy, honoring Diane Rowe upon the occasion of her retirement after 18 years of distinguished service to the Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo.
Senator Kennedy on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm privileged to take the opportunity to recognize and honor Diane Rowe, the Chief Professional Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Buffalo, on the occasion of her retirement. For 18 years, Diane has rendered an indispensable service to the community as head of one of our area's most important organizations. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Buffalo has helped to guide the learning and growth of youth throughout Western New York through programs that improve literacy, assist in academic achievement, promote health and nutrition, encourage character development, and provide essential job training. Under Diane's extraordinary leadership, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Buffalo expanded to provide services to over 4,000 children in 13 different clubhouses across the region. She established key partnerships with other organizations in the community to enhance both the quality and viability of services, including mental health, medical help, and family case management. Additionally, Diane navigated the Boys and Girls Clubs of Buffalo through one of the most difficult economic periods in history and successfully created a sustainable nonprofit model that has allowed the organization to thrive. Thanks to Diane, the organization now has a well-trained staff of 150 and a net worth that has gone from $500,000 to $4.5 million. Because of Diane Rowe's exemplary leadership, thousands of kids in the Buffalo area have been elevated to their fullest potential. Her steadfast commitment to financial sustainability has ensured that the invaluable programs and services that the Boys and Girls Club provides will continue for generations of youth in Western New York. We congratulate Diane on her retirement and wish her the very best as she goes forward in the next chapter of her life. And if you would be so kind, Mr. President, to open this up for co-sponsorship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Libous.
And, Mr. President, I believe the sponsor would like that opened up, so as we have always done, if anybody chooses not to be on it, just let the desk know. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Mr. President, I believe we are now at the active list, so if we could have the non-controversial reading of the calendar.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 32 by Senator Ort, Senate Print 1806, enacted on the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 56.
The bill is passed. Senator Libous.
I believe that was Senator Ort's first bill that just passed.
was.
Congratulations, Senator.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 50 by Senator Young, Senate Print 2316, enact amend the private housing finance law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Young to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. In March of 2008, U.S. Army Sergeant James Hackemer from Gowanda, New York, was riding in a heavily armored vehicle when it was blown up by an improvised explosive device. During that tragedy, Sergeant Hackemer lost both of his legs and sustained a traumatic brain injury. He was taken to Germany for several months, was actually in a coma for more than a month, and his family later told me that they thought through those dark days that James would never make it. After a while, he was transferred to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, where he was in recovery for almost 3 years. He finally came home in April of 2011, and the entire community turned out. We had a big parade. The Patriot Guard riders were there. His family was so relieved to finally have James home. And it was their love that sustained James through all that difficult time. And after he came home, he needed all kinds of rehab, but he also had 2 prosthetic legs. He had needed to learn how to walk again. there were modifications that needed to be made to his family's home, and they were willing to do it. Tragically, a few months after James came home, he was killed in an accident. But during that time in his recovery, James was determined that he would live life to the fullest. And this Homes for Heroes program is in James' memory and his honor, a tribute to him, but also a tribute to all of our brave heroes who have served our country. This is a great program because it helps our vets to be able to afford to have modifications made to their homes. We all know that we have women and men coming home from combat during the past few years from Iraq and Afghanistan, missing arms, missing legs, traumatic brain injuries, all kinds of difficulties. And we also know that we have an aging population of World War II veterans, Vietnam War veterans, Korean War veterans, who because of their age, maybe because of their service, they're having issues. They may need a wheelchair ramp, they may need to have their doors widened in their homes, whatever it is, and they may not have the resources to do it. So I salute my Senate colleagues. We came up with this program during the budget process last year. We're passing the bill today. I believe that we will be able to get it through the entire process. And I want to note, it's actually based on the Access to Home program that does already provide modifications to people with disabilities. This only expands on that and targets it toward our brave heroes. So I want to thank all of our Senate colleagues for your support. I look forward to getting it through the entire process. And I want to say, God bless all of our veterans.
Senator Young to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 56.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 53 by Senator Flanagan, Senate Print 2695, enact amend the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, the statute will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, D. Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes
The
56.
bill is passed.
Calendar number 57 by Senator Hannan, Senate Print 2486, enact amend the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, the statute will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, D. Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Hannan to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. This apparently simple piece of legislation masks a great deal of policy and technical debate behind it. 2 years ago, we adopted, when we were adopting the iStop legislation, the requirement that pharmaceutical prescriptions in this state be done by e-prescribing. And at that point, it looked like everybody was on the same page policy-wise, which is still the case today. Everybody wants to reach that objective. But everybody was not on the same page in terms of technology and in terms of federal regulations. We need to act on this bill today so that people in the health profession across the state know that the deadline that's now in law of March 27th will be moved back one entire year. During that year, I would hope we would address all of the other problems that have now become apparent, questions of how we do prescribing in hospitals, prescribing in nursing homes, prescribing in hospices, and simply adopting many physicians' offices who have gone out and purchased much equipment, much software, but it doesn't meet certain standards, even though it's very effective. And trying to get some type of leeway in that will be what we'll have to accomplish. So I would simply urge my colleagues today to pass this and just know that we will be working on this in the intervening year. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Hannan to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 56.
The bill is passed. Senator Libous, that concludes the non-controversial reading of the calendar.
Yes, it does, Mr. President. Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business.
Well, Mr. President, there being no further business, I move that the Senate adjourn until Wednesday, February 25th at 3 p.m. and intervening days being legislative days.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, February 25th at 3 p.m., intervening days being legislative days.